Thank you for joining us to learn more about the Johns Hopkins School of Education and our Postmaster's Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis. My name is Andrew Goolsby Cole, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting tonight is Dr. Tamara Marder, Associate Professor and Coordinator for the Applied Behavior Analysis, Autism, and Severe Disabilities Programs, and Shannon Majoris, who is the Director of Programming for RISE for Autism, a 2015 graduate from the Postmaster's Certificate in ABA program here at Johns Hopkins, and also an adjunct faculty member. So I want to get started with a brief overview of the School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began as the college courses for teachers in 1909, and after many iterations, we became our own school and were named the Johns Hopkins School of Education in 2007. So we're celebrating our 10 years this year, which is very exciting. The school enrolls approximately 2,600 students that take classes at our locations in Baltimore and Columbia, Maryland, or online. We are accredited by NCATE and CACREP, and all programs that lead to licensure are approved by the Maryland State Department of Education. The School of Education is well acclaimed. We are consistently ranked one of the top schools of education by the U.S. News and World Report's ranking of top graduate schools of education. And students here come from diverse professional backgrounds. They could be pursuing a career change, some are recent college graduates, while others are experienced educators and counselors looking for professional growth and development. About 74% of our students are women, and the remaining 26% are men. The overall average age for students here in the School of Education is 29. So now that you're acquainted with the Johns Hopkins School of Education, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Marder.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about our Postmaster's Certificate in ABA. And I have this slide up here talking about what is applied behavior analysis. And I think most of you do know what applied behavior analysis is because that's why you're here to learn more about our program. But in quick review, ABA is the scientific study of the principles of learning and behavior, and is a systematic approach for applying the principles of learning to improve socially important behavior for all individuals. This program looks specifically at helping students in the educational system and changing behaviors to improve learning outcomes for students. The board certified behavior analyst is a graduate level certification in behavior analysis. So in order to get board certified, you must take graduate coursework to get that certification. So ABA, within ABA, we have practitioners of behavior analysis that provide services that can include conducting behavioral assessments, analyzing data, making database decisions, writing and revising behavior analytic programs, training others to implement behavior analytic programs, as well as overseeing implementation of treatment plans and interventions. And the content of applied behavior analysis is contained within the 4th edition task list that is put out by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. So if you're not familiar with that 4th edition task list, you should check out the Behavior Analytics Certification Board website, the BACB website, for more information. Okay, so our program, which is considered is called a Postmaster's Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis, is verified by the BACB as meeting the course requirements for eligibility to take the board certified behavior analyst exam. So that means once you graduate from this program, you will be eligible to sit for the exam to become a BCBA. Within our program, you can complete our program in just 4 semesters. It is a part-time program. All of our courses are face-to-face here at our Columbia campus. And the program features a supportive faculty with extensive experience in applied behavior analysis. The cool thing about the faculty in our program is that they are in the school systems every day applying behavior analysis in the classroom setting, and then they're here at night to talk to you and teach you about how to do the same thing. We offer a cohort model, which is another advantage of our program because our students all come in together at the same time. They take all courses together, and it creates a network of students once you graduate from the program. and are able to work and network within the field of behavior analysis, as well as preparing for that exam once you graduate from the program. So our program is designed for special educators, general educators, coordinators, administrators, school psychologists, school counselors. These are all different types of folks have gone through our program. And within this program, you will learn the evidence-based practice of ABA to meet the growing needs of children who receive special education services. This program also supports the career goals of special education teachers and other school personnel who desire this specialized training. And we are the only graduate school of education in Maryland that offers this specialized certificate. So some general information about the courses. I told you it was the program can be completed in 2 years, and it's a part-time program. The courses include 6 courses and 2 practicum courses. In a few minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about the practicum and the requirements, but we're going to focus first on the 6 courses. But again, it can be completed in 2 years, and all of our faculty are board-certified behavior analysts. Again, I think I mentioned this already, that the Behavior Analyst Certification Board has verified all of the course sequences. One thing that the BACB likes us to make note of is that candidates may have to meet additional requirements in order to qualify for the BCBA certification. I highly recommend, if you are interested in becoming board certified, to make sure to regularly check the BACB website for any information. Changes are always coming up. They give a lot of leeway when changes are being made, but you should be very familiar with all of the requirements to become board certified. So this is a layout in front of you. You see a chart, which is a layout of the program over the 2 years of the program. In the first year of the program is purely course content. With the first semester, I'm going to go into the details of the courses, give you a little bit of a background on each of them. The first semester focusing on that, learning that content and concepts of applied behavior analysis, as well as looking at research methods. In the spring semester of that first year, we'll focus on challenging behaviors and behavioral assessment of those challenging behaviors, as well as looking at ethics and how do we conduct ourselves professionally as behavior analysts. The second year of the program, in the fall semester, we go into looking at instructional strategies and behavioral assessment to address those strategies. And then students begin accruing their hours for practicum. Then in the final semester, we take a course called Applications of ABA in the Classroom, and then focus in on the second semester of the practicum. Within this 2-year program, students graduate in May. Again, the good thing is about this program, there are no summer courses, but students are done in the spring of the second year, and the majority of our students will take the exam in August. So here's a quick rundown of each of those classes that I just mentioned. The first one is the Intro to Applied Behavior Analysis in Special Education, and this is really our introductory knowledge of applied behavior analysis. I typically tell students they come in and they're really going to a new country to learn the language of ABA. The second class that first semester is Research Methods, using single case design to define and measure behavior, how to collect data, and how to interpret graphs to measure outcomes for our students. The next class during the spring semester is the Behavioral Assessment of Intervention for Challenging Behaviors. We actually like to separate our Challenging Behaviors class out from our Instructional Strategies class and do those as 2 separate courses, even though looking at challenging behaviors and instructional strategies really go hand in hand. As we decrease behaviors, we also want to increase skills and behaviors that we want to see. So we separate those 2 courses out. So we have a Behavioral Assessment and Intervention for Challenging Behaviors, looking at principles and procedures as it relates to challenging behaviors and decreasing those challenging behaviors. And then we go into our Instructional Strategies course, which focuses on developing effective teaching plans based on ABA and using assessment to develop those plans. Our ethics course really looks at how do we engage in ethical behavior and responsible conduct, provides an in-depth review of the guidelines for responsible conduct for behavior analysts. And our final class is the Applications of ABA in the Classroom, which provides an in-depth discussion of the strategies regarding how do we implement ABA in a school setting. We also spend a little time in this course talking about how to prepare for that BCBA exam once you graduate from the program. So let's talk about the practicum. If you have checked out the BACB website and all of the requirements for becoming certified in behavior analysis, you know that there are 3 different options for getting your supervised fieldwork experience. One of those options is what we call the intensive practicum, and that's what we are approved to provide. So the BACB has approved our practicum courses towards the intensive practicum experience. So we provide supervised experience in the application of behavior analysis in educational settings. We have an ABA practicum coordinator who helps all of our students set up their practicum placements and will guide you through that process. You are provided through our practicum experience to have you are provided with a university supervisor who is a BCBA who provides you the one-to-one supervision that you're required to get each week. And then we also provide 1 hour of group supervision through our class, through our practicum class. So if you're familiar with the hours, you know that in order to get the practicum hours, you have to complete 750 hours over the course of a year, over a course of 2 semesters, which is actually about 15 weeks. So students are required to accrue 25 hours of supervised experience each week. We provide the 1.5 hours of individual supervision and 1 hour of group supervision. The majority of our students are able to complete their practicum in their place of employment. We want to ensure that nobody needs to leave their job in order to complete this program. However, and this is work that is done with the practicum coordinator, we need to make sure that all of our students are provided with an experience that is behavior analytic in nature. So we do follow the BACB guidelines with setting up practicum experiences and practicum placements to make sure it meets the needs and the outlines and guidelines of the BACB. So some additional information about our program. Upon successful completion of all 8 courses, students will receive a postmaster's certificate in applied behavior analysis from Johns Hopkins School of Education. However, students are responsible for applying and supplying all supporting documentation to the BACB. We will not provide that certification for you. You need to provide that information to the BACB and schedule that exam. It is also expected that all students who graduate from our program will pursue that BCBA certification once they graduate. So a lot of times I get the question of who is an ideal candidate for this program. So I've added this slide to the presentation to sort of review that. We are looking for candidates who have demonstrated a desire to commit to the field of applied behavior analysis, that understand all of the requirements to become board certified, that are familiar with the BACB website and all of the requirements that are outlined there. Students who are have the ability to commit to 2 years of intensive graduate coursework. Obviously, you need to demonstrate all of the admission requirements that we have put forth on our website. And finally, the ideal candidate is someone who's willing to work and study hard and throughout this intensive 2-year program. So additionally, some data. We actually are in our 5th year of offering this program. And since the program's beginning in 2013, we have graduated 41 students from the program. And our students represent a variety of educational professionals, from special educators, behavior specialists, school psychologists, school counselors, administrators, and instructional specialists. Our students represent 11 different school systems across Maryland as well as DC. And as I mentioned previously, we're right now in our 5th cohort. Our cohort 4 and 5 are currently enrolled in the program. 4 is just going through their 2nd year of the program. 5 just started this past August. And we have completed 3 cohorts of the program, and 30 of those graduates of the program are now board certified in behavior analysis. So I would like to open it up to any questions that people may have about the program, and then I'm going to hand the microphone over to Shannon, who is going to provide you with a student perspective on the program. Liz, that is a great question about providing some positions our graduates have had since graduating, since leaving the program and becoming board certified. A good number of our students, once they graduate, remain in their current positions with added value to their employers and settings, specifically thinking about special educators working in classroom settings. Also, a lot of our graduates have moved on to coordinator positions where they're overseeing a variety of classrooms, as well as students who we have students who go from one setting to a totally new setting where they're providing behavior analytics services. Okay, there's also another question, and please, if you have questions, definitely type them into the chat, and you can do it either privately or to the whole group. The other question we have here is what type of a degree to be eligible for the exam. To be eligible for admission and to earn the BACB, you definitely need to have a master's degree, and the master's degree, according to the BACB, has to be in either education, ABA, or psychology. And this is laid out in our admission requirements. So you must have a master's degree in ABA, education, and that could be special education, general education, as well as a master's in psychology. Okay, and we have another question. So what happens if your school does not meet the requirements for the practicum? Do you work out a way with the county to do the practicum? So we would, when students enter into the program, we're already talking about practicum within their first semester to make sure that all of the current employment would meet the practicum requirements. If you believe coming into the program that your courses, your current placement may not be able to meet those requirements, we then talk about the different options that you might have. Sometimes we have had students move to a different classroom setting or a different job position within their school setting that will help them meet those requirements. It really is determined on a case-by-case basis. Another question that we have is about the practicum hours being included in tuition. Yes, the way that we have set up the program is that you are paying credits towards the practicum course, just like you would with any other course, and we cover the supervision, we cover hiring the BCBAs who provide you with that supervision, so there's no added cost. So somebody's asking about curriculum instruction would not qualify. That's kind of a hard question to answer online, but if you wanted to email me, we provide the email at the end. The BACB also provides a degree verification service so that you could submit your master's degree transcripts to them, and they can provide you with information if it would qualify, if your master's degree would qualify. Okay, so going back to just the question before about the practicum hours being included in the tuition, I just also wanted to point out a lot of programs actually do require that students get those practicum or fieldwork experience hours outside of the school program. The one benefit, one of the many benefits, I would say, of the PMC and ABA program is that we offer that practicum experience as part of our program. So we help you in getting that practicum experience, accruing all of those hours, and we help guide you through that experience. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Shannon, who's going to be here to talk about or answer any questions that you might have about student experiences within the program. As we mentioned, she is a 2015 graduate of our program. So she's been out there in the world working as a BCBA. She is the Director of Programming for Rise for Autism here in Maryland, in Howard County. And she is also adjunct faculty here at the School of Education as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Shannon. So think of some good questions that you might have for her about being a student in our ABA program.
Hi, this is Shannon. I'm a graduate of actually the first cohort of this program, and I'm serving as the Director of Programming from Rise for Autism, like Dr. Martyr said. I'm teaching some classes here, and I also am providing supervision both through candidates at this school and those who are doing other programs to get their BAC or to get their BCBA. So I've been out of the program for 2 years, and I'm happy to answer any questions I can from the student perspective. So the question we have is, can you describe your practicum experience? For me, at the time, I was working for Howard County Public Schools as their autism specialist. And the way that my practicum worked is I would meet with my BCBA supervisor once per week for an hour and a half. And we did that at a variety of locations. Either he would come to where I was working, so one of the schools that I was providing consultation to or working with students. Sometimes we met here before I had class, and other times we met, offsite as a Starbucks just to go over, content knowledge or to review articles. And I met with him one time per week for an hour and a half, and then I also had group supervision, which really functions more like a class with a portion of my cohort. My cohort was very large. We had 20 in it, and so the maximum for that group supervision is 10, so we were split into 2 different classes for that. What I can say about the practicum experience that it's very unique to Hopkins, now that I'm supervising other candidates that are going through these types of programs and online programs, is when you're going through that online type program, you really have to go and find your own supervisor, and the practicum experience varies so widely. There's not a curriculum that's out there that you're following, so the experience you get is all dependent on how good your supervisor is. At Hopkins, they do an amazing job of finding supervisors who have so much experience in the field and then matching you with someone who has similar research interests or similar practical interests. So I had a large interest in verbal behavior. I was very interested in that, and Dr. Martyr and her team were able to find me a supervisor who also shared that. So very unique to Hopkins. The next question we have is, what was the workload like? Everyone always asks me that question. So how many days we meet, how long were the classes, and how easy was the test? Okay, well, the test was not Hopkins' fault, but it was not easy. Going back to the workload, when you're in the first year, those first 2 semesters, you're taking 2 classes, and I believe they are 3 hours in length. Is that correct? Yes, they are 3 hours in length. When you move to your second year and you're doing your supervision, you'll have 1 class and your group supervision every week. Workload is challenging, but if you stay on top of it and you follow the timeline that's in your syllabus, you will be fine. I think what you need to, or what I needed to understand was it in previous programs, and I had done 2 previous graduate programs at Hopkins, I didn't have, I would say the workload is more intense than maybe some of my other graduate programs, but it's also because there's so much content that you need to learn in order to be able to sit for that test. And so while the workload was very challenging and very demanding, it kind of served 2 different purposes. One, I was ready for that test, and I did pass it on my first try. And 2, again, unique to Hopkins, is that the projects are true practical application. So when I'm supervising people now in other programs, they're really just watching seminars and taking tests. They don't have that practical application piece. So not only at Hopkins do we have the group supervision, the individual supervision, but you're also doing projects that take you all the way from we have a skill deficit or we have a behavioral excess to assessment, to intervention, to analyzing that intervention. And I don't see that happening with a lot of the people that I'm supervising that are doing other programs. So the projects are hard and they're demanding, but they are worth it and they will make you a better practitioner. I did want to just touch on how easy was the test again. The pass rate, I believe, is only 61%, and after having taken the test, I understand why. I personally studied about 4 hours a day for the 3 months leading up to the test. That's outside of my Hopkins coursework. I was lucky enough to be in a cohort, which is another thing I really like about this program. So we studied together a lot, and as we got closer and closer to the test date, we would be texting each other random questions about behavior analysis to make sure that we were right walking into the test. But the test is, Hopkins can only take you so far, and they take you much further than I think other programs do, but then you're going to have to put in the rest of it. It's not an easy test, but afterwards, after taking it and passing it, you will feel such a sense of accomplishment. All right, so the question we have is about an LPC in Maryland, and that is a great question. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Martyr.
So the question looks at transferring some credits from previous programs or previous courses towards this program. We actually would look at that on a case-by-case basis. Those courses do need to be verified by the BACB in order for us to transfer those courses into your program here at Johns Hopkins. However, I will tell you the policy is for transferring credits at graduate levels that you're able to transfer up to 3 credits. But again, we would want to make sure that the courses that you took were behavior analytic in nature and verified by the BACB. Any other questions that folks have regarding the program that I can answer, or any student-related questions that Shannon can help you with? Lee, you're asking us a question about submitting coursework that isn't in the criteria for admission. I'm not quite clear on what your question is. If you want to try to restate that, are you asking about submitting your transcripts to the BACB to confirm that your master's degree meets the requirements? Or are you asking about transferring of credits? Oh, about your master's degree. Okay, so that is not necessarily a requirement for admission into the program, but we do strongly encourage students to have your master's verified, that it does meet the requirements by the BACB, only that once you graduate from the program, we want you to be able to sit for the exam. And in order to sit for the exam, you must have a master's in ABA, education or psychology, as well as having the ABA coursework. So we highly recommend it. It is not a requirement for admissions. James Long is asking a question about, can we still work a full-time job and do the program? Yes, that is a definite possibility. All of our students actually do work full-time jobs and take our courses. Our courses, the way the program is set up to be a part-time program. You're only taking 2 courses per semester. These are great questions about the program. Are there any other? Are the classes on the same day? So typically our classes are twice a week. In the first year of the program, we offer courses on Monday and Wednesdays. Again, they are 3-hour classes. And the second year of the program, we try to offer our classes in one night, but sometimes we do offer them over 2 nights. So group supervision would be on one day, and the 3-hour class would be on another day. So it really just depends on the schedule each semester and the faculty who are teaching those courses. So the schedule changes each year. All courses are offered in the evening. Bill asked that question. Thank you, Bill. It's a great question. All of our courses are offered in the evening. The hours are 6 to 9 p.m. for the 3-hour course. Our practicum courses are offered from 4:45 to 5:45. It's a 1-hour practicum course. It's not a course, practicum, group supervision. So all courses are offered in the evening. So thank you for all of your questions. We are actually I'm going to hand the microphone over to Andrew, who's going to talk a little bit more about admissions for the program. Please continue to type in your questions, and we'll open it up at the end after Andrew is done talking about admissions to answer some of those additional questions that you have. So keep them coming, keep typing, we'll catch them all, and I'm going to hand it over to Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Martyr and Shannon. That was really informative, very helpful. So here's some contact information for Dr. Martyr. Also, if you do have some questions and would like to contact an academic program coordinator, I've left Camilla Mika Sims's contact information here. She would be another great resource for you if you have questions along the way. Okay, now I'll continue by going over the application requirements. Applicants must submit their completed application, which can be found on our website, and an $80 application fee by the deadline, which is typically April 1st. After you submit your application, you will receive a confirmation email with instructions on how you can upload many of your supporting documents using our student information system self-service portal. So this means it's important that you provide an accurate email address and that you check it regularly, as this is how we will communicate with you throughout the application process. You will need to upload a current resume or CV and a disposition survey, which is a 5-question short answer response questionnaire that you can find on our website, and that will also email you a link to with the confirmation of your application. You should submit 2 letters of recommendation. They can be mailed or emailed to us directly from your recommenders, or you can upload them yourself to our system. It's very important that if you are uploading your recommendation letters, that there's a physical signature on each letter. So this means that your recommender will need to print out the letter, sign it, and then scan it so it's available electronically. Choosing a curly font does not count as a physical signature. So if there is no physical signature, it will not be considered official and will delay the processing of your application while we wait for the official letters to come in. So that's about it as far as the documents that you need to submit to us to be considered to submit a full complete application. Excuse me. If you are an international applicant, there are a few additional steps that you'll need to take when applying to the School of Education. You must submit TOEFL or IELTS scores or a TOEFL waiver request form, which can be found on our website. If your degree was completed outside of the United States, you'll need to submit a course-by-course evaluation in lieu of transcripts. Please note, though, that we do not offer I-20s for part-time study, graduate certificate programs, or online programs. So please contact the Office of International Services for additional information about this. The current tuition for the School of Education is $755 per credit for part-time study and $1,000 per credit for full-time study. We also encourage you to review the full tuition and fees page on our website for the most up-to-date information about tuition and fees, and so that you can understand the complete picture of the costs associated with becoming a student here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. If you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage that you begin the financial aid application process at the same time you're applying for admission to the program. Please note the priority financial aid application deadlines listed on this slide. And please visit the financial aid website for specific information regarding the financial aid application process. You'll also find contact information there for the Office of Financial Aid and details on loans, grants, and scholarships that are available. And the link is available right here on this slide. Okay, if you are interested in getting in contact with any of us, you can reach us at the information listed here. The admissions office is located at our Columbia, Maryland location, and this is also the address you would use to mail any supporting documents like transcripts or recommendation letters. That pretty much concludes the presentation for the evening. Dr. Martyr, Shannon, and I will now open it up to any questions you may have. I see that there were some questions that came up as I was talking. Okay, so from James, the tuition, so it's $755 per credit for part-time study, which this program is part-time study. So you would, however many credits you're taking that semester, just multiply that by 755. There are additional registration fees, so definitely check out that webpage that I linked earlier. There's a question from Lee, which is, why would you take the certification coursework if you have a master's in ABA? And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Martyr. So hang on.
Lee, that is actually a really great question. That is, you probably wouldn't, right? So if you had your master's in ABA, you would be taking all of this coursework already. That is just one of the requirements that the BACB lays out for master's degrees. So students who would go to a program not like ours, not a postmaster certificate, but where they get their master's in ABA, they would be provided with all of that coursework. That would be an explanation of why you would need that.
Okay, I just want to add a little bit more about the cost of the program. The costs that I just mentioned are for this current academic year. It's very typical that tuition increases each year. So plan on up to 2% increases each year in your tuition rates when you're budgeting out for paying for your education. So Bill asks, how many credits are each course? And each course is 3 credits. From Lee, can you go back one more slide so I can get the contact information, please? Yes. Are you looking for the contact information for Dr. Martyr or for admissions? Okay. There you go. Okay, Valerie asked a question. In the event that some of my courses for my graduate degree program are the same / qualified through the BACB, JHU will only accept transfer credits for one course. Yes. Well, it looks like there are no more questions, so we will be ending this presentation. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We hope you found it helpful and informative. If you do have any questions in the future, please do not hesitate to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to help. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you all have a great evening.